we're starting a career, sometimes we don't know where we'll land up. We all take those little steps, those baby steps, and every step eventually leads us to what we are meant to be. It has been the journey with me, and I'm sure it has been the journey with all of you out there. So, hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Renaissance with Swati. And today I have with me the enigmatic leader, a transformation manager, a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and a very enigmatic personality, Tarun Tuli, who was born and brought up in Delhi, India, and is currently living in Australia and working in the National Australia Bank in Melbourne. Hi, Tarun. How are you?
Thank you, Swati. It's really, I think I'm amazed with the introduction that you've given. Maybe I'll copy that for my next introduction somewhere. But thank you so much for having me here. It's always nice to talk to you.
Yeah, so like I was saying, right, living in Australia made you change your accent as well? You're a complete Australian now?
Not change, adopt to it. Like wherever you live, just live it. Like be Rome in the Roman, as they say.
Yeah, nice. All right. So, do you still have India in your heart?
Oh, I can never get India out of anything. Blood, heart, sweat, everything is Indian. I eat Indian. I think everything is Indian.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, so let's start with the journey. So, Tarun, like you are currently working as a senior product manager with National Australia Bank in Melbourne. So, would you like to share about your journey?
I think you had a very amazing introduction to this. Like, you never start where you end. You always start at a very different thing. So, probably pretty much it. If I really look at 20, 25 years back into my career, not even graduate at that point of time,
Mm.
started my career with call centers. Thankfully, call centers were expanding in India. Um, People like me who were mediocre in studies didn't know where to go. That was a brilliant start. So I always believe um, you just have to start somewhere, and wherever you start, it's just the first step, and it's a baby step for you. You will end up where you have to if you keep progressing in the right direction. So start was call centers, and 20 25 years completely changed, still part of call centers, but from technology side, from doing transformations, big tech uplifts, and anything to do with customer obsessions, and by bringing the right technology in.
Okay, that's great. So, your journey from a call center, then to a transformation manager, and then to a product manager.
It's a stepping stone from one place to another. My roots are from India, and I've been doing global collaboration for 25
Mm.
years now. So anything which lets me work with global teams across India, Vietnam, Philippines, like you name it, I'll just love working with people
Wow.
across the globe. So maybe if you really look at what I want to do 25 years, not 25 years, sorry, I'll be retired 25 years for sure, 110%. 5 years from now, I want to be probably leading a very big global organization. That's what
Okay,
I,
wow.
oh, today, whatever I am, I mean, I think I don't feel a cultural barrier anywhere. Like a lot of people say, oh, you can't do that, or you can do that. I've come from India. I've come from a place like if we really look at, I've come from a generation where tape recorders were there, um, to not even having a CD in a life today. Today, everything is cloud based. And
Right.
India is far ahead in technology. Philippines is amazingly with customer experience. Vietnam is coming amazingly high on the technology. Nothing can beat US when it comes to the Silicon Valley. So all that has really made my perspective so global today that I have deleted a word called impossible in my dictionary. If somebody
Wow.
says it's not possible, um, I mean, you guys have definitely heard the word impossible means I am possible. That's what I believe in.
Wow, that's so wonderful. So then eventually, how did you land up in Australia?
Ah, ah, no, that's a very sensitive topic. I think
Uh,
it's God grace. I would say thanks. I think always wanted to come to Australia. I think it was a childhood dream. It came quite late. Uh, I mean, I wanted to do my graduation from Australia. Somehow, as I said, I was financially so independent. Didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
leave my job, uh, pick up a
Right.
loan and do it. So left it. Many years down the line, as a transformation manager, um, TCS gave me that offer of going and setting up a global unit in Australia. Came here, set up a pretty massive team. I think we took it to 1,400 people at one point of time across the
Wow.
globe. Um, and then from there, uh, my family loved Australia. I still have apprehensions. I'll be honest. I am core Indian by heart, um, and I love it. But I mean, is this the right place? Definitely is at this point of time. Is this where I want to be always? Something questionable. I can't stop.
Okay. Okay. What are the similarities between India and Australia, or what are the differences between India and Australia? Maybe one by one.
Yeah. So similarity, we are all humans here. Um, Trust me. It's just bigger. So I think the um, biggest similarity between Australia and India, um, I think both the countries are heading towards a very bright transformation future. India, because of its population size, has no reason to stop. I think if you would have seen the expansion in 10 or 15 years, um,
Hmm.
is massive. Australia is now starting that journey. The banks are moving very fast on that kind of a journey. There are 5G, which is now there. People are already talking about 6G. I think
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
that's definitely is there. The biggest difference is the opportunity size, and that's totally to do
Okay.
with the population. Like the population of India is 130 billion. You can't match that, right? You have to transform.
Yes.
Whereas
Right.
Australia, the resources are so deep. Like the biggest mineral resources are in Australia in some of the cases. So that's the biggest difference. Australia has major amount of land. India has major amount of resources. So massive difference in terms of the push leading to the
Right.
change.
Okay. Nice. So, right now you're living in Melbourne, right? And how's Delhi? Different from Melbourne?
Uh, the weather is crazy in Melbourne, and everyone will say that, right? I don't have to hide this. I can have all four weather within an hour. We can see rain, we can see sun, and sun. When I say it's really hot, it really gets hot. We can suddenly have snow falling in from nowhere. Not snow, but it really gets cold here. So weather is really difficult there, unlike Delhi weather, which is there. Biggest difference, there is no pollution here. I'm so sorry for people living
That's
in
a
Delhi.
plus.
So sorry for people living in there. Again, it's the size basically which matters. I think one thing why I've picked up Melbourne, I've stayed in Sydney for about 2.5 years as well. Melbourne is very family oriented kind of a place. I think the priority is always given to kids, education. Across Australia, Melbourne is or Victoria is known as an education state. So a lot of
Okay.
focus on schools, a lot of focus on colleges. The top schools are in Melbourne. The top colleges of Australia are in Melbourne as
Wow.
well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's where it is. It's very social, unlike Sydney, which is more like Mumbai.
Sydney, which is more like Mumbai. In what sense?
It's fast. It just runs. They have a metro very similar to the locals in Mumbai. Uh,
Okay.
I mean, Melbourne also has metro, but it's just like our Delhi metro. It's not that much connected. You still
Hmm.
have to use your
Hmm.
personal vehicle for it. Whereas the public transport in Sydney is very much. Again, Sydney, the way Sydney and Melbourne are expanding is very different. Melbourne is expanding horizontally, whereas Sydney is expanding vertically. So tower over tower, tower over tower, which is what probably
Okay.
Mumbai
Okay.
is doing.
Okay. Okay. So right. So all four weathers in a day, how does that feel?
It feels terrible. It feels terrible. You'd always have to carry a jacket along with a t-shirt. Um, Like uh, I'm wearing a t-shirt, and trust me, around it's about 4 o'clock, 5:36. If I have to go out of my house, I'll be wearing a small, probably a thin jacket somewhere.
Nice, nice. I've had my own stint in Melbourne and I loved it.
Yeah,
I mean, Melbourne is has its own charm. The place has its own charm. You don't want to leave Melbourne.
yeah, it's
That's so true.
beautiful. It's really nice, calm, composed.
Okay.
You can, it's how you want to live in Melbourne. Melbourne doesn't want or pushes people to live by its culture or the way it wants.
Did you ever face cultural diversity challenges, right? Adopting one culture to another, or like you said, you have lived in so many parts of the world, Vietnam, Philippines,
Yeah.
US. Then, do you ever feel the cultural differences while settling in a country, right?
See, when you settle in, it's not the cultural difference. Like all of us have different ways of doing things. I think that's where it is. In India, if you give way to somebody to on a red light, you would never cross it. Whereas if you don't do it here, um, you will. It's not good, right? Like it's a penalty. It's a lot of things. So
Mm.
just adopting to that is probably challenging at the beginning. But again, you've left your country and you've come this far. It's not going to be easy. And again, it's not impossible. It's just not easy.
Leaving your country and settling abroad. Do you ever miss that? For the first part, leaving your country.
This is the hardest question for me in my life. I'll I miss India. I miss more than India. I think I miss my friends. I miss people around that. Um, I think my best friend is still in India. Um, if like we don't talk anymore, it's just because it's either the time difference globally we are that far off. But yes, I miss India, and I miss the people. I miss the food. It's yeah, it's upsetting at times to think about it, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult decision, right? If I think of myself, I would like to stay in some other country maybe for a couple of years. Then eventually, I will also miss my family and I
Yeah.
would like to come back. So it's a difficult decision. I can understand.
See, it's you can't make friends after a certain age, is what I think I've realized. I think, and then once you make friend, you can't keep up with them. I mean, for me, distances doesn't work. Like it has to be, you have to meet them regularly, you have to talk to them
Okay.
regularly. So yes, and that's what you really miss. I think we're all human. That's where AI can't supersede us. We need, at the end of the day, finish your work. You want to go talk to people, hang out with friends. That's what we miss.
And what about your kids, right? The younger generation after us. What is their take on that?
See, they are like my younger one is born and brought up here. The elder one was born, but we migrated quite early. I think he was not even 5 when we migrated. So they have seen their entire life here. They've got their friends here, and that's the age that you make friends. Um, so I think they'll be fine. Uh, I think it's the generation that has migrated suffers the most and enjoys the
Yeah,
most at the same time.
that's
I love it. Like I know what happens in India at the same time what happens in Australia. The best part is I can woo for both India and Australia team at the same point of time.
So when you attend the India versus Australia match, I know there's a big cricket stadium in Melbourne. So when you go for an India versus Australia, whose team would you cheer for?
Whichever is winning. Whichever is winning. Like the recent Test series when India was winning the first, I was the best. I mean, I was in Indian full on. This next one that India got defeated badly. All right, I'm an Australian, guys. I really don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, we as I said, just adopt.
Just adopt. Yeah, you have to evolve with time.
Exactly.
All right, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, so what is a big advice that you would like to give to all the people who are listening to the podcast right now on how to choose their career paths? Like you said, you started with baby steps and
Yep.
eventually you went on to become what you are.
I think um, mantra of life for me is let's get started, right? Just whatever you can cling on to, just get started. Don't think of, all right, I'm going to be a billionaire 5 years down the line and I'm just waiting 5 years, right? You have to start, right? If you want to invest, you have to start. If you want to do a job, you have to start. And starting doesn't mean that this is where you are going. You will keep evolving. And look at any, probably anyone that you probably look up to, they would not have started where they are today, right? Like Steve Jobs, or for that matter, anyone, any big founder, any big entrepreneur, you look at, they've all started something different. Even for that matter, Reliance. Like if you have watched the
Mm,
documentary on Dhirubhai Ambani, he went to Kuwait,
mm,
he did all that stuff.
right,
So just start with
right.
something. You will. That's where you get ideas, you get exposure. So mantra of life: let's get started. Don't wait for the right time.
That's absolutely wonderful. Let's get started. Don't wait. Don't
Yeah,
just pursue what is coming on your way. Go with the flow,
yeah,
and the flow will definitely take you to where you're meant to be.
exactly. Yeah.
And you're never too old to experiment, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, um, if you look at the top five riches of the world today, they all started their journey after 35, 36. So if you think you can't, like Amazon started at the age of 34, um, Tesla started at the age of 32. So if you really look at that, you're never too old for an experiment.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. And my last question, for all of those who have those dreams to settle in Australia, what are the big tips for those?
Okay, Swati, and probably as I said, let's get started. Again, my
Right.
advice to anybody is it would not come to you. You have to strive for it. You have to do your own research. Um, Coming to Australia is not tough if you know what you really want to do and you get started on that journey.
That's wonderful. I'm really impressed by your journey and your views, and that, just don't wait for that perfect moment to arrive. Just start right away.
Yep.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Tarun. Thanks for being there on my podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Swati. You've been an inspiration
Thank
for
you.
me as well.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.